Friends, no music guitar channel would ever be complete without discussing the one and only Mr. Steve VAI. I've made reference to Steve in some of my past videos about how he and Prince were had mutual respect for each other. I know Steve VAI was a fan of Prince, as many of us are, and many more of us shall become. Steve Vai, to someone who's been a guitar player like me for many years, the year was, I'm going to say it was 1985-ish. David Lee Roth leaves Van Halen. Now, at the time, even though I was quite young, I was 12 at the time, I was aware, as my friends were aware, Eddie Van Halen was quite the guitar player. And the big thing was who's going to play guitar for David Lee Roth? I'm actually proud that I was able to think that at 12 years old. But I remember me and a number of my friends who were fans of Van Halen, we were like, oh my God, who's going to be the guitar player for David Lee Roth? Like, he was playing with Eddie Van Halen. He's going to need one heck of a guitar player. And sure enough, the video for Yankee Rose came out, and we saw Steve Vai doing all these crazy things. And I think it was in Hit Parade or something we read that Steve Vai was going to be David Lee Roth's guitar player. At the time, we had no idea who Frank Zappa was. So it wouldn't have made any sense to us to hear, oh, he was Frank Zappa's guitar player. And he also played in Alcatraz. We wouldn't have known who Alcatraz was. But we knew who Van Halen was, and we knew who David Lee Roth was. So, that being said, we all watched in amazement when David Lee Roth came out with his first bunch of videos as a solo artist. Yankee Rose, Just Like Paradise, Going Crazy. All of us watching Steve Vai going, oh my God, who is this guy? He's amazing. And also, the movie Crossroads, when it came out, as I was really getting into guitar, the duel scene at the end with Jack Butler, played by Steve Vai, and Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid. I think for any of us guitar players back in the day, that was quite the scene that had a big impact on us. I must have watched it 1,000 times. Watching them play at the end going, wow, I got to learn how to do that. I didn't care what the Karate Kid was doing because I knew he wasn't really playing. But watching Steve Vai was amazing. It was inspiring. For all of us out there, just being honest, whenever we need some guitar motivation or we want to be humbled or schooled, we'll watch a Steve Vai performance. I have a number of his live DVDs, Live at the Astoria 2002, Where the Wild Things Are. And now he has come out with Teeth of the Hydra, and I know it's made a bit of a commotion in the guitar playing community. Okay, so there's 3 guitar necks, but the reality is, I have not watched the video yet. I remember Steve on his Instagram, he posted about it, something about the Hydra guitar, and I remember I commented and said, well, Steve, where are you going to get a guitar case for that? That's my humor. Not everyone gets my humor. A lot of people didn't get my humor and were responding back, but anyway, I think Steve got it, though. Steve's got a pretty good sense of humor. But we're going to check this video out. But the idea of multiple necks on a guitar is not new. In fact, during his tenure with David Lee Roth, Steve Vai had, I think it was a 3-neck guitar. Or is it 2-neck? 3-neck in the shape of the heart. I remember that very vividly. Also, in the late 80s, there's Michelangelo Badio. A lot of people who are newer to guitar, I'm going to say the past 10, 15 years, still probably know who Michael Badio is. We knew him as Michelangelo back in the day. He played in a band called Nitro. He had a 4-neck guitar that he could also break down to a 2-neck guitar and go down to a 1-neck guitar. It was very interesting. At the time, when he was in the band Nitro, a lot of people thought Nitro was kind of a gimmicky band. I remember they had Michelangelo Badio with the multi-neck guitar doing his crazy shredding. You had Jim Gillette singing, who could hit these crazy high notes, and they were dressed it was really crazy. The sign of the times for the 80s. And I remember at one point they had a very large bodybuilder playing drums. So people kind of looked at Nitro as a gimmick band, but I thought musically, I thought they were incredible. Especially, you know, learning guitar. I thought Michelangelo Bedio was like, oh my God, who is this guy? I got to be able to pick like that. So anyway, enough being said. Let's go on. Let's check out Teeth of the Hydra by Steve Vai. You know what I'm saying? It's time to release the Hydra, folks. Okay, well, what can I say, man? It's Steve VAI. I know Steve's got a few years on me, and he just keeps trucking, and he's an innovator. He's always trying to do something different. And I also heard that he had some shoulder problems, so that Hydra, released the Hydra, it looks like it'd be fairly heavy, so that probably wasn't easy on his shoulder. I saw an analog power amp in the background that had Steve VAI and the LED display. There was actual tubes. They looked like EC 83s on the guitar. Now people are going to argue with me about what kind of tubes they were. But it was really cool. But guys, I'm at a point in my life where I like things simpler and simpler and simpler. I've said many times in videos how I look at people with these huge rigs and effects processors and units, and I'm like, oh God, just good amp, good guitar, a few pedals. Steve is, obviously, he's an amazing innovator. He's a legend in the guitar industry and the music industry, and again, he's an innovator. My brain can't comprehend all that. I am the worst multitasker. If anyone was ever born on this planet who was born to not be a good multitasker, it would be me. But I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. It'd be cool to see the case for it as well. But again, as Steve VAI, it was pretty amazing watching him do that. Looked like, so I'm guessing Ibanez made that for him. I can tell by the headstock. So he looked like he had a 6-string that had frets up to about maybe the 12th fret. And then he had a 7-string. And then he had a bass, which kind of looked partially fretless with frets. It was very interesting. Not something I would personally want to try and do, but I would be entertained watching him play that live, doing that for a song or two. Not for a whole show. I like Steve with his 6 or 7-string. Let's see it, Steve. And I remember when he came out with the 7-string in the 80s, the Gem series Ibanez, that was a big deal too. Everyone was like, oh my God, he has a 7-string. Really, once you kind of get a handle on a 6-string, playing a 7-string is not a big deal. It's not. But my thing is why I have a 7-string guitar. I can appreciate 8-string guitars. I won't get one. I have no interest in a 12-string. And even looking at the Hydra, I wouldn't want to be the guy that's got to change the strings and tune it up, man. That looks like it'd be a real pain in the butt. But again, it was really cool to watch. And I am, always was, and always shall be a Steve VAI fan. Thank you, Steve. Remember, practice hard, but practice smart. We'll see you soon.